So your social studies textbook should be open to page 62. Your vocabulary notebook should be open to the social studies, chapter 2, lesson 3, words. Then put it since we're on the same lesson, we're not going to start a new list or anything, but do put it underneath your textbook. I don't think you need it, but just in case there's a word I want to add, it should be out. So we're on page 62. And then when I see everybody's finger ready to follow along, we will begin. Yes, Sadie?
Do we need face shields?
Yes, sorry. Go ahead and put face shields on. Okay, Zari, please open to page 62 quickly and open your social studies notebook to the chapter 2, lesson 3. Vocabulary words, we may not need it, but just have it out just in case. Put your finger on the first title of page 62 when I see everybody's finger ready to follow along. Smith, you will read, but I will let you know when to go ahead and begin. When I see everybody's finger ready to follow along on page 62, I will tell Smith that she can read. Make sure that your notebook is underneath your textbook. Be ready to follow on page 62. Smith, go ahead.
A global economy. At a farmer's market, all the sellers and buyers are usually from one local area. They are part of a local economy. When people buy or sell products made in other countries, they become part of the global economy.
Good. So if you have a product and you're really only selling it or buying it or whatever from people that live in the same area as you, that's a local economy. A global economy is when you're working not only with people near you or even just in your country, but in all different countries all over the world. That is a global economy. Everybody's finger ready to follow along? Everybody's finger ready to follow along? That's not where we are. And Smith, keep going.
The world market. The global economy is the world market in which people and businesses from different countries buy and sell products and services. In a global economy, countries all around the world depend on each other for goods and services.
Good. So that means even though your business may be in Memphis, Tennessee, if you have to get your materials from somewhere in Zimbabwe, and then they're sent to a factory in China to be put together into your product, and then a German shipping company gets it from China to you, and then you sell it to people in your area, well, that is still part of the global economy, because did every single thing that you used come from just your city, just Memphis, Tennessee? No. So that means even if you have this little business, if your materials come from somewhere else around the world, that means you're part of the global economy. Thank you, Smith. I will read next as soon as I see everybody's finger ready to follow along on page 62. Follow along as I read. An automobile is a good example of how the global economy works. Automobile manufacturers need many different materials and parts to produce automobiles. Think about a car. How many little tiny parts can you just see just by looking at the inside of a car? Tons, hundreds. Then if you open the hood, have you ever seen inside the hood of a car? How many pieces are in there? Like millions, it seems like. Well, each of those little pieces and parts, plus the things that hold them together, have to come from somewhere. They aren't all made inside the factory that puts the car together. They come from all over the world to that factory, where that factory's only job is to put it together. They don't make any of the pieces. All they do is put it together. So let's keep reading. Finger ready to follow along? If I interrupt in the middle of a thing, you should keep your finger exactly where it is so that you don't lose the spot. The steel for an automobile body may come from the United States or China. The glass for its windows may be produced in Mexico. The CD player may be made in Japan, but even then, that one CD player has a ton of little parts that it's made up of. And all those parts had to come from somewhere else to that factory in Japan that put those little parts together into a CD player and then sent it to the car company to be put together. Let's keep reading. Leather for the seats may be shipped from Argentina. The factory that assembles all these materials and parts may be in the United States or another country. Although the factory may be in the United States, it may be owned by a company in another country. We can think there's like a Nissan factory. You know the cars, Nissans, the car brand? There's a Nissan factory, like right outside of Nashville. But Nissan isn't even an American company. I think it's a Japanese company. So that means Japan owns that factory outside of Nashville where they put together Nissans. But then they don't make all the parts that make up a Nissan. They get those from all over the world. So global economies, everything, like the one desk that you're sitting at, your desk. Look at all the different parts. You have the top part, the tan colored piece that may have been made somewhere. You have that tan top colored piece that may have been made somewhere. Then you have the brown metal parts that make up the legs and the bottom of the desk. Then you have this that may have been made a totally different place. Then you have the silver legs, or chrome, they're not actually silver, legs that may have been made somewhere. And then you have all the screws and the adhesives that are holding everything together that could have been made in still another place, but all of them were sent to the one factory where they made your desk, and then that factory sent it to the company that sold the desks. So your one desk could come from like 8 different places. I don't know if it does. It might all come from one country, but I bet all those little pieces that go together to make your desks were made in totally different places. Okay, let's look at this diagram up at the top of page 62. What does this diagram show us? Carla.
It shows us how they make things and
How they make what specifically? If you have your microphone, put it a little towards your mouth, okay? How they make what specifically?
how to make a video game.
A computer game, very good. So this is a diagram that shows us how this particular computer game was made. So first, there are several steps that go into this. We start with that first bubble that is labeled 1. What is happening in this very first step? Smith.
Designers use computers to form pictures and sounds.
So first, the video game designer has to create the game on their computer with the pictures and the sounds. Well, then this is called a flow chart, where we see an arrow that takes us from step to step. So then we see that arrow and we see the picture in number 2. What's happening in this picture in number 2? Carla, make sure your hand doesn't go up until I ask the question. What is happening in this picture on number 2? Michaela.
Materials are assembled.
Materials are assembled. That means they're taking everything that the video game has, like the case and the CD itself, and they're putting it together. They're putting the game on the CD, then they're putting the CD in the case, then they're putting the cover, like the cover thing, in the case. They're putting the design on the front of the CD, all of that. Well, then we follow the area to the 3rd step. What is the 3rd step in computer game manufacturing? Ethan, loudly.
The gamers are shipped to stores around the world.
So then that game, after it's manufactured and put together, it's shipped to stores all over the world. And then we follow that last arrow to step 4. And what's happening in step 4? Cullen?
Users enjoy the game at home.
Somebody buys the game and plays it at home on their computer or their TV or their tablet or whatever. So look at all those steps, but are those the only steps in making a computer game, do you think? Zari?
No.
No, there's still other stuff that has to happen, because where did they get the stuff to make the CD out of, or to make the case out of? From other factories who had to mine it and get it from whatever natural resources, put those natural resources together, get those natural resources, then put them together along with man-made things to make just the disc, just the plastic case, just the paper that has the cover on it, and then they all send it somewhere where then they put it together. It's a lot. There's a lot that goes into making just like one thing you own. Okay, let's go ahead and keep reading on page 63. Everybody, finger ready to follow along. Aaron, go ahead and read loud and slow.
Global workers, global buyers.
A little louder.
Workers are also part of the global economy. For example, a company in the United States may hire workers in India to write software for its computers. A company in China may hire Americans to translate product instructions into English. People even travel to different parts of the world to buy services. For example, many people from other countries come to the United States to go to college.
Good. So, not only are all the pieces that make up the items from all over the world, but so are the workers and so are the buyers. Think about if you go on Amazon and you want some scrunchies. Girls or boys, you want some, I don't know, what's something that you wanted from Amazon recently? Kingston. Can't hear you. PS5, whatever. Okay, but think about Amazon, like things off of Amazon that you buy. Ethan? A hoverboard. Okay, sure. Hoverboard, because a PS5 is only one product from one company. But a hoverboard comes from all different companies. And scrunchies, because I know you've probably all, at least at some point, wanted some scrunchies. And you can get them for pretty cheap off of Amazon. You can get like a huge bag for like $5 or even less. And you can get a pretty decent hoverboard off of Amazon for not super expensive. But usually those products aren't coming from a factory in the United States. So you're buying it off of Amazon in Memphis, Tennessee, and it's coming from some other country to you. So that makes you a global buyer, because you don't just buy stuff that is made and sold only in Memphis, out of products that are found in Memphis. There really aren't many products like that out there. And when you do find them, they're usually very expensive. They're nice to have, but you can't do everything completely local. And the things that you buy don't necessarily just come from the United States. They come from all over the world. So you and your parents are global buyers. So you are part of this global economy. You and your money and your parents' money is going towards somebody being able to raise their family in a whole nother country, all the way on the other side of the world. Okay. Yes, Kingston, quickly. Later. Okay. You can change it in your mind, but we have to move on. Okay, Kingston, read next. Loud and slow. Everybody finger ready to follow along? Hold on, wait till everybody's ready. Okay, go ahead. Louder and slower, though.
The global economy provides more opportunities for American businesses and buyers. American products and services find new customers in other countries. The products and services of other countries offer more choices for American buyers.
So that last sentence is like what I said. You can find stuff that is completely, entirely made in the United States, out of materials that were made and come from the United States, but it makes it a lot harder to find everything you need. You can find a lot of the things you need, but it makes it a lot harder, and sometimes it's more expensive. So a global economy means there's a lot more things that we have to choose from. It also means that if you start a business, you don't have to worry about only selling to people in one country or one area. You can make more money by making sure that your product works for the global economy, which means people from other countries may want to buy your product, which opens your customer base from like 3 million or 300 million to like 6 billion people that could potentially come and buy from you. So that's what a global economy does. How are workers a part of a global economy? How are workers a part of a global economy? Zari?
Because they may hire someone from a global economy.
What do you mean by that? How are workers, so they're not the ones doing the hiring, they're the ones doing the working. How are workers a part of the global economy? Zadie.
They're a part of the global economy because they help sell and advertise the product.
How does that make them part of a global economy? I can do that for a local company too. Colin?
Because they bought something from a different...
We're talking about workers, not buyers. Victoria?
They would probably ship stuff or make it.
I can do that right here in a local economy. What makes that global? Aaron?
Workers are also a part of the global economy. For example,
I can't hear you.
workers are also a part of the global economy. For example, a company in the United States may hire workers in India to write software for its computers.
Okay. So what does that mean about the worker? That's the company hiring. But what does that mean about the worker? How is a worker themselves, not the person hiring or not the company? What can I do? If there's a company in China that wants workers who can write English instructions for their English customers, does that person have to live in China to do that? So what can happen to make that worker a part of a global economy? Zari?
They can talk to the people who don't really They can talk to the people who talk the language that they talk.
Okay. And then do what, Smith?
They translate into different languages.
And do they
All
have
over
to
the
be
world.
in that country to do that, Smith?
No,
Where can I translate from?
anywhere.
Anywhere. Because all I need is what? All I need to translate something or to do paperwork is what? Carla?
They get it from materials and
Well, hold on. Listen to my question, Carla. Your hand's been up for a really long time, so I don't think you're thinking about my question. What do I need to do work that's just paperwork? What's all I need? Zadie?
You need that paper.
Which I can get from where? Do I have to go somewhere to get paperwork?
No,
Where can I get it from?
wherever you are.
But using what? If I need paperwork, do I have to go to wherever it is that paperwork is? What can I use, Kingston? Am I going to go out and cut down a tree and turn it into that paper? What do we need to use to get paperwork? What can we use? Girls at home, what do I use every single day to get you your papers? Victoria,
Printer?
not just, do I use the printer? Where does it come from? How does it get to the printer? Zari.
It comes from the computer.
A computer. All you need to do a lot of jobs is a computer. And we're finding that out even more now. Because a lot of people are working from home completely, 100%. Now there's some jobs that don't really work that way. But a lot of them can. So nowadays, all you really need to do a lot of jobs is a computer and the what?
Internet?
And the internet. Kingston, that's not super important right now, so that could have stayed until it was time to transition. So nowadays, you can work almost anywhere in the world as long as you have a computer and the internet. And a printer helps too. But some people don't even really need a printer, but it helps. Okay, Kingston, please read us the summary of this lesson. Loud and slow.
The United States has a free market economy. Agriculture, manufacturing, and service industries are the main part of this economy. American businesses and citizens are also part of the global economy.
Very good. Okay. Let's answer these questions out loud. But I think from now on, I'm going to try, you're going to do at least one lessons questions on paper for every chapter. Because you guys need more help with these types of questions. You can fill in the blank and do multiple choice, but that doesn't require as much thinking as these do. And you guys really, really, really need to practice thinking. I've seen that with the Wonder Journals. Some of you, like very few of you, have done an awesome job on the Wonder Journals. But some of you are just so used to just being able to put like one quick sentence down and then be done. That's not what this looks like. It's not what it should look like. You guys used to do it. I know that because I know Miss Dawes and Miss Escobar taught you a lot about that, so you need to get back into that. Okay. So now let's do number 3. How is the United States economy different now than it was in the past? So everybody think about it for a minute. I don't want hands to go up right away because I want you to think. What are they asking? What do you remember? What can you go back and look at to find a good answer that completely answers the question? So if somebody who had never heard of this question before would know exactly what you were talking about. How is the United States economy different now than it was in the past? When you think you have a really good, well thought out answer, raise your hand. Kingston?
It's different from now before.
Louder.
Well, the economy was different from now because mostly there was agriculture there.
Back when? Fully answer the question. Kingston, keep going, because you have the tools to do this. Kingston is giving us a really good answer so far. He just needs a little more detail. So far, he said it's different now because back then, the economy was mostly based on agriculture. Carla, hand down. This is what's happening. You're thinking about, your hand is up constantly, but you're not really thinking about what I or your classmates are saying. You need to keep your hand down and listen. So far, Kingston has said, everybody hands down, because Kingston is on the right track. So I know with maybe a little prompting or maybe no more prompting, he's going to have a great, well thought out, complete answer. So far, he has told us the economy is different now because back then, the economy was mostly based on agriculture. But that wasn't fully complete yet, because what do you mean by back then?
Like before the late 1800s.
Before the late 1800s. Very good.
And now, like I don't have a video. Now we have to use computers and the internet just for school.
Okay, well you started out, so we started out, it's different. Carla, hand down. I'm not going to tell you again. Keep your hand down. I want you to listen. Kingston started out really good, but then he just kind of changed. I can see what he's thinking, but there's more to it. He started out really well. The economy is different now because way back then, before the late 1800s, the economy was based on agriculture. Well, then what happened? Because that's a part of our answer. Aaron, loud.
And then in the late 1800s to the mid 1900s, men were based on manufacturing.
Very good. Then it changed because from the late 1800s to the mid 1900s, the economy was based on manufacturing. Is that the end of our answer? No. That tells us where it started, how it changed, but not where it is now. So we need a little more to have a full and complete answer. Michaela, louder so we can all hear you.
From the mid 1900s to now is service.
So then it changed again because from the mid 1900s to today, the economy is mostly based on service. So do you see how that was a much better answer than it started as service, then it was manufacturing, it started as agriculture. No, this is the answer that I might get from some of you, or I get something else that's just you making stuff up. It used to be based on agriculture, now it's based on service. That answers the question, but is it well thought out? Does it really explain and show that you know exactly what the answer to the question is? So yes, you can be right, but still not have a good answer. Just because the answer is right does not necessarily mean that it's good. A good answer is right and well thought out. That means you didn't just look for the answer in the book and then say it right away. You thought about it. You made sure to include details. You made sure that whoever hears your question knows exactly what's going on. So those are the types of answers that I expect to see when you have questions like this in science or social studies or reading or sometimes even math, like with those essential questions. So does everybody see the difference between it's different now because it's based on service and it used to be based on agriculture, and the answer that we came up with together? Now we did come up with that together, but there's no reason that each and every one of you could not have come up with that whole answer by yourself. It was just more of a chance to give everybody, more people a chance to speak. Okay, please keep thinking that. Ooh, what I want everyone to do right now is in their notebook. No, on a separate sheet of paper. You have 10 minutes to answer number 4. So get out a separate sheet of paper. Get out a separate sheet of paper. Write your name, number, and date at the top. And then page 6, or social studies, page 63.
Miss Follies?
Yes, Carla.
May we put the what lesson it is?
Yes, sure. Although, yeah, you can, but page 63 does tell us, but that's fine. So name, number, and date, you can write SS for social studies. Page 63, and that all goes above that top line. Remember, where are the holes? Cullen?
On the left.
On the left. And then number 4, you do not have to write the question. Just write the answer. Try to come up with a full and complete answer that gives as much detail as you can without just making stuff up to make the answer longer. Because a long answer is not necessarily the right one. A right answer is not necessarily a good answer, but just because it's long doesn't mean it's right or good. Complete sentences. That means subject, predicate, capital at the beginning, period at the end, or whatever. Although, probably just a period. Fully answer the questions without just making stuff up to make it long. So you're doing number 4. What is one way in which you, as in just you yourself, take part in the global economy? A good way to make that a good, full, and complete, well thought out answer is to answer it and then give an example. Okay, you have 10 minutes. If you're at school when you finish, put it in the social studies tray. At home, just put it somewhere for it to be scanned. Yes, Smith.
Do you want us to write the question?
No, you don't have to write the question.
Okay.